Hello friends, my name is Tejal. I welcome all of you on the platform of YouTube channel of Spectrum Academy. Today we are going to learn about international organization. So, our first international organization is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, that is RCEP. RCEP is a mega regional economic agreement since 2012 between Asian and Free Trade Agreement members partners. RCEP is functioning. So, which are the Asian countries? Let's look at the names of Asian countries: Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam are the Asian countries which are working in RCEP. Now, let's look at the FTA countries. FTA countries are China, Japan, India, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. But on 2019 November, India dropped out of RCEP because there was a trade deficit among India and other member nations. RCEP's main objective is to boost economic growth. After RCEP, let's move to another international organization, that is UNICEF. UNICEF was established in 1946. UNICEF is a permanent part of United Nations since 1953. We know that United Nations has permanent bodies, but this is not a body. UNICEF is a permanent part of United Nations. UNICEF works to advocate for the protection of children's rights. In India also, United Nations UNICEF's nodal agency is our Women and Children's Development Ministry. UNICEF is guided by the Conventions on the Rights of the Children 1989. UNICEF won Nobel Prize for Peace in 1965 for the promotion of brotherhood among the nations. UNICEF has 36 members and it works for the promotion of brotherhood among these nations. UNICEF began its work in India since 1949. After UNICEF, we have next international organization named UNESCO. What is UNESCO? UNESCO is United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. UNESCO has its headquarters in Paris. UNESCO has 193 members. 3 UNESCO members are not United Nations member. We generally think that if country is United Nations member, then it can be UNESCO member. But for these 3 countries, it's not possible. Cook Islands, New and Palestine are these 3 countries which are members of UNESCO, but they are not in United Nations. Again, there are 3 United Nations members, that is Israel, Liechtenstein, United States are not UNESCO members. We generally think that United Nations has United States as its common member, but UNESCO does not have United States as its member, though it is United Nations. Man and Biosphere, that is MAB program. MAB is Intergovernmental Scientific Program held by UNESCO. India is having 18 biosphere. Out of it, 11 biosphere are under this Man and Biosphere, that is MAB program. After UNESCO, we have World Food Program as our next international organization. It was established in 1961. Its headquarters is in Rome, Italy. Member of the United Nations Sustainable Development Group. This is why World Food Program is a member of the United Nations Sustainable Development Group, that is UNSDG. World Food Program works for 2/3 of its work is in conflict affected areas. We know that its objective is to end hunger by protecting access to food. That's why it's need to work in conflict affected countries. World Food Program improving nutrition and achieving food security. World Food Program also try to support the SDG implementation. What is SDG? SDG is Sustainable Development Goals. World Food Program is also partnering for its results. The Food Agriculture Organization, that is FAO, and the International Fund for Agricultural Development, these are United Nations agencies which are closely working with World Food Program. Food and Agricultural Organization helps governments to form their policies, to form their legislation or change their legislation according to sustainable agriculture. The International Fund for Agricultural Development, that is IFAD, it gives finances to countries in poor areas. After World Food Programme, we have SAARC, that is South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, that is SAARC. It has its first meeting on 1985 of 8th of December in Dhaka. Its main objective is to maintain sovereign equality in member countries, to give them territorial integrity, to give them political independence, and not to interfere in the internal affairs of other states and mutual benefit. Let's have a look at the member nations of SAARC, that is Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. Now let's look at the observers of SAARC, that is Australia, China, European Union, Iran, Japan, Republic of Korea, Mauritius, Myanmar, and United States of America. So these are the 9 observers of SAARC. SAARC has its headquarters in Kathmandu, Nepal. Afghanistan is very newest member of SAARC at the 13th annual summit in 2005. After SAARC, we have the group of 7, that is G7. These are not directly countries, but these are groups, and this is a group of very developed countries. These countries are France, Germany, Italy, the United Kingdom, Japan, and United States and Canada. The group of 7 comes to discuss issues of common interest like global economic governance, international security, and energy policy. The group of 7, that is G7, held its meeting annually. So every year they form hosting on the rotation basis by the group members. After group of 7, we have International Labour Organization, which celebrated its 100th anniversary in 2019. So obviously it was formed in 1990. The International Labour Organization brings together governments, employers and workers of 187 member states. International Labour Organization has set labour standards, developed policies and devised programs promoting decent work for all women and men. As we know that it was established in 1919, but it was established in 1919 by Treaty of Versailles. It is an affiliated agency of League of Nations. We must know that before Second World War, there was a League of Nations. After Second World War, we have United Nations. So, before United Nations, there was League of Nations, and this International Labour Organization was its affiliated agency. This is probably the first affiliated specialized agency of the United Nations in 1946. United Nations was formed in 1945, and after completion of its 1 year, International Labour Organization became first affiliated special agency. The headquarters of International Labour Organization is in Geneva, Switzerland. Also, International Labour Organization had won Nobel Peace Prize in 1969. Clearly, International Labour Organization won its Nobel Prize after the formation of its 50 years. After International Labour Organizations, we are looking for International Court of Justice, that is ICJ. It was formed in 1945, but its functioning starts from April 1946. International Court of Justice is a principal judicial organ of the United Nations. It is in Netherlands, which was earlier called as The Hague. Its building is called as Peace Palace, and here in picture you can see this Peace Palace. The International Court of Justice is having 193 state parties. It consists of 15 judges. Each judge has its term for 9 years, and these judges are get elected by United Nations General Assembly and the Security Council. Both the United Nations General Assembly and Security Council are permanent bodies of United Nations. After this, we have Arctic Council as our next international organization. Arctic Council is an intergovernmental forum. It promotes cooperation, coordination and interaction among Arctic states. It does not provide cooperation, coordination and interaction to Arctic states, but also it provides the same to Arctic indigenous communities and other Arctic inhabitants. It works for sustainable development and environmental protection in the Arctic. We all know that Arctic and Antarctic are the real and sensitive poles of our Earth. So, it is necessary to work for their sustainable development. Change in biodiversity, melting ice, plastic pollution, and black carbon. These are threats to Arctic. Therefore, Arctic Council works for these issues. We all know that due to global warming, melting sea ice and species becoming extinct are severe issues in Arctic and Antarctic both. So it is necessary to form the international organizations like Arctic Council. There are these developed countries which comes in Arctic Council. We can see all of them in maps also. This dark blue area consists of the Arctic Council. The bigger nations like Russia, United Nations and Canada are the members of Arctic Council. This is just to remember the members of Arctic Council. There are also Scandinavian countries in Arctic Council, that is Norway, Sweden, which are in Scandinavian Peninsula, also Denmark and indirectly called Scandinavian country Finland. Besides, Iceland is also in Arctic Council. After that, we have World Health Organization. World Health Organization has its headquarters in Switzerland, Geneva. Like this, we can remember the capitals of these countries. World Health Organization has 194 member states. It works in collaboration with its member states, usually through the ministries of health. Nowadays, we are observing these things for the situation of coronavirus. The WHO monitors the ministries of health of its member states. It was formed in 1948 of month April 7. WHO Coordinating Authority on International Health Work. It maintains effective collaboration with the United Nations. WHO provide assistance to the governments. United Nations. If a country is member of United Nations, then that country may become the member of the World Health Organization. Like this, we have completed few important international organizations. We'll see all of you in the next video. Until then, do like to our videos, subscribe our channel and do comment if you like the video. Thank you.